Hello,
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 humans.
everybody. My goodness, welcome to the Harmony and Humanity podcast, where we are all about highlighting the common ground we all share, inspiring conversations that lead to real world harmony and understanding. Your hosts are Dr. Amethysta Herrick. Hello, Amethysta.
Hello. Hi,
And
Morgan.
Dr. Lena Martinez.
Yes, hello, hello.
Hello. And Jasmine as well. Hello.
Hello.
We are three transgender humans combining science, spirituality, and lived experience, all with the purpose of showing that we have much more in common than what separates us. In today's live stream, we're going to talk about the differences between what it means to be transgender versus what it means to be like a feminine guy or a masculine girl. And it's inspired by a very long comment thread that came through on one of my Facebook posts the other day. That'll be a really interesting topic to discuss. So we will happily ask each other loads of questions and dig deep into this because that's what we do. But if you're joining us live, we'd love to make it interactive. You have the ability to drive the stream in whatever direction that you want, and we want to make it as relevant to you as possible. So get into the chat and let us know the questions and all of that so that you can help guide that. And if you're catching the replay, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. But without further ado, let's get into the topic. Oh,
Do you want
where
to
do we
read the
start?
comments? Let's
Yeah,
let's
let's read
read the
the comment.
comments. Yeah.
Yeah, let's read it.
I
You know,
got
I
it
really
up.
don't want to read the comment,
You have it up?
but
I know. We won't use a name. I've got the comment here if you want me to read it. Do you want me to do this,
yeah,
Jasmine?
yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, here we go.
I'll
It
just
says,
give a little bit of context
yes.
first as well. This was like, okay, this was a really long comment chain with lots of different massive comments, and I was testing out a chatbot responding to them, which I feel mildly bad about, but I trained a chatbot to use my language and to talk in the way that I would and be affirming and, not combative and all of that. And I would just not even read the comment and just copy paste the response, which I was finding very amusing. But this is one of the comments that came out of that
Yeah. How did you how did you end up catching this one?
because I didn't have the bot on my phone. I was
Oh,
I was out at a dance class and then I read that one on my phone. I was like, oh, okay. But then I was like, actually, that's a pretty good topic. So I sent a
yeah.
screenshot to you.
Yeah. All right, well let me read it. I
All
got it.
right.
I got it up right here. It says, Jasmine Vine, obviously addressing Jasmine here. I'm coming at you as the poster. Jasmine Vine, not a woman. You're a man that had surgery and adopts woman face. What is woman face? Can we actually? I don't want to pick this apart that much, but I saw woman face and I went, I don't know what that means.
I mean, they're likening it to blackface, I'm assuming.
That's what I thought. Which the
Mm.
next line says, your misogyny is screaming. And I don't know if you're likening this to blackface. Anyway, your misogyny is screaming, and it's sad that you think behavior is limited to one sex. I'm sad for you that the important people in your life didn't teach you, as a boy, that you don't have to fit patriarchy stereotypes of how boys behave. That boys and girls can behave in different ways, and that's okay. Instead, patriarchy damaged you as another victim of it and taught you to believe that to behave in a certain way was not appropriate for a male. It would be far more valuable for society as a whole to fight sexist gender stereotypes than to forever harm your body by putting it through damaging medication and surgery. Love, your friend, sincerely. No, there was no love there.
Oh
I.
dear.
Oh, first off, how did you feel? Thanks for reading that, Amethyst. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
wondering how you felt when you first read that.
Are you talking to me or Jasmine?
Jasmine.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think I missed the question.
Oh, I'm just wondering. First off, thank you, Amethyst, for reading that. But I was wondering, Jasmine, what you felt when you read that. When you initially read that.
Well, it's funny because I agree with a lot of the bits and pieces around specifically about stereotypes about how boys and girls should behave, and basically saying that we're allowed to be guys and be feminine, we're allowed to be girls and be masculine, and that doesn't mean that you're transgender. And that is something that I would wholeheartedly agree with. Like,
Yeah.
yes, that's true. However, there is a difference there. I was a very feminine guy, like that's how I came across, and that was not me still.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating because it's kind of like what Amethysta says is like, if I were to try to say your favorite vegetable is carrot, and you cannot debate that and go, no, my favorite, no, your favorite vegetable is carrot. There's no discussion. That's your favorite vegetable. It's denying the inner knowing that somebody has about their own identity.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but I thought it was a really good point. Like, I read it and I was originally like, oh, God, okay. And then I was like, actually, yeah, what is the difference there? Because the difference is really just about in how someone identifies and how they choose to express their gender identity.
Hmm.
Because they're talking about gender expression mostly.
Hmm.
And I'm separating that from gender identity. It's not the same thing. You can express your gender in a very feminine way. Like I know guys who look more feminine than me on a day-to-day basis because their gender expression is very, very femme, but they still identify as men.
Right.
So like what
I think
is
you're right on
that
that this
difference
individual
there?
is really talking about gender expression.
Mm, yeah, yeah. So freedom of gender expression, absolutely. But I think the core missing part there is still wrapping up sex and gender in one thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Certainly. I want to, because let's deconstruct this just a touch, because this person's saying, where did it go? So, oh, here we go. Patriarchy damaged you as another victim of it and taught you to believe that to behave in a certain way was not appropriate for a male. But what this person has said is that you're a man who's had surgery and adopts woman face. Is that not playing into gender stereotypes that she's telling you don't exist? Because what exactly does woman face mean? If it's, I mean, and where I'm going with this is to say, if you're talking about gender expression, gender stereotypes is exactly what she's doing. She's putting you into a patriarchal stereotype of how boys behave. That now you're doing something that is something that girls should behave this way. So, is she doing anything different?
Would they have any problem if I were to say, I am a man? Now, XY chromosomes, I
Right.
love being a man. This is how I look. Would that be a problem to them, I wonder?
It would.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Because
it.
that would be a little hypocritical.
I feel it would be a problem to them.
Yeah.
They
Mm.
they say, "Well, what do you mean by that? Look at what you look like." Well, that's not. You don't look like a man. Maybe that's what we need to do, right? Do reverse psychology. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what's if it's already assuming a gender stereotype that because you were born with certain parts observed by a doctor that you should behave in certain ways. And she's telling you, "Look, I'm going to let you behave in any way that you want to. But you do have to acknowledge that you were born a certain way." Is she doing anything different? I mean, I think it still actually ends up it's worse because she wants to put you in a box that
I
you're
really didn't think of it that way. That's a really interesting way to look at this comment.
now you have
Hmm.
a new answer for her, right?
Oh, no, they're blocked and deleted.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was also feeling, when I first read it, actually, what I was feeling is if a man is and I briefly had a discussion with this with my girlfriend just before we logged on real quick. So I
Mm.
was just wondering if men are if okay, let me see if I can remember how we talked about this. Does transgender even exist at all if it's all gender identity? So if a man wants to express himself or identify as a
Mm.
woman but remain a man and a woman or physically or vice versa, then what is transgender at that point? Because either way, they are if you're going against societal's definitions or stereotypes of what gender is, then people are transgender all the time. Transgendering, changing, I guess. And then you could put an ing at the end if that were, if that was something that was happening.
Right.
Does that make
Right. So I also, it does make sense, Lino, too. I want to bring up too, because I think part of the reason this exists, Jasmine, you separated gender identity, what you
Mm.
feel you are, with gender expression, which is how you look, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
in
answering. I
what's that, Lino?
think I was answering for her. Yeah,
Oh, because in my own work, I don't distinguish the two. That gender identity
Ooh.
includes the way you look, because our identity, at least in the work that I do, identity is a composite, a complex of your physical, your cognitive, your behavioral characteristics. And if that's the case, then gender expression and gender identity are really the same thing. And and I guess the way I would say this is if you say, well, I know I am a woman, but you don't look like it, what difference does that make? I mean, and
Mm.
to use your example, you said, well, I know somebody who looks more femme than I do, but doesn't identify as a woman. Again, what difference does that make? This is just an expression of gender, which has to do with how we feel inside and how we look on the outside. So I think the problem, for what it's worth, and I'm not criticizing you, Jasmine, you know how much I care for you, right? Do no? Are you sure? Okay. Is one of the problems I think we struggle with in the transgender community in particular is the separation between gender identity and gender expression, and that the two necessarily have to correlate. And if they don't, then it implies something different about you. And I mean, Lino, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on this because I know that's part of the definition, the DSM-5 definition for gender dysphoria, is that
yeah.
we have a separation between how we look and how we feel, as opposed to both of those being components of a greater identity. What do you think on that?
I just feel that the spectrum is so wide and so
Right.
long that there's just so much in between, which is actually a beautiful thing. That it just makes it really, really complex to box it all in this way because it's not flexible. It's not the way
Right.
any type of expression is.
Right.
I mean, that's like telling an artist to stick to specific colors and not put in anything else or use any other type of paint.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a disallowance of somebody's rights to express their own physical, personal auric energy.
Yeah. Yeah. You brought up, and I'm going to say this last thing, and then I promise I won't bring up my own everything that I say again. Lino, you brought up the idea that you brought up the idea of transgender, that if your gender identity is not matching certain physical characteristics, that it would be that's transgender. And I guess again, in the way that I think of it, um, there's just gender. There's no cisgender. There's no transgender. It's just the way we feel, the way we think, the way we look, what we know we are, and that's our identity. Of which gender is a socially I don't want to say driven, but certainly socially affected part.
Yes.
So so I wrote, when I made the thing, I said, do transgender people exist? And the irony is I've written an article that said, where I said, I hate that word because it's really meaningless. What each of us has is just gender. And there was never a relationship between sex at birth and gender we express. I've thrown
I love
emoji
that.
words,
There's
but
just gender. There's just gender.
yeah. Anyway,
Well, you know what? This is actually, I had I was a client one time who identified as transsexual. That was the terminology that they preferred to use.
yeah.
And I just inquired about that. I'm like, oh, why specifically that for you? And their answer was that when they were born, they weren't born with a male gender. They were born with the gender that they have. They've never transitioned their gender. They've transitioned their appearance and their primary and secondary sexual characteristics to better align with what society expects from their gender. And so they were like, I've transitioned my sex, not my gender, which is kind of interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way before that conversation. But I wonder if that's partly where that came from. I
The
don't know.
term or that or the person's
The
beliefs.
term.
Mm.
It's something to really
Mm,
think about because from when I'm feeling, I mean, what I'm feeling, and this is a discussion that I had earlier, is that it's really a feeling. It's a feeling of how I feel most comfortable expressing myself, even if I even if we were Barbie dolls and there was absolutely nothing in between our legs. Like if there's nothing in between my legs at all, I'm still gonna dress this way and feel this way and still be Lino and feel the most comfortable this way. So
Right.
it's a feeling that I have within me that really doesn't have to do with what's between my legs.
yeah.
I'll stand with that. This is the there's no connection between. I mean, because we could look at biology. Because Jasmine, to address that person, the client of yours. I mean, if sex is related to a gamete, what we've done is modify our body, not necessarily change the gamete we produce.
Mm,
Because I mean, I currently have a vagina. There you go. I do not produce ova. I also do not produce sperm. I mean, according to the strict definition at this point, I have no sex. At one point, I
mm,
was male, but this is typical of biological systems, particularly mammals, that we go from birth, where we can't make anything, to making something, to possibly making nothing later on in life. So I'd like to harken back. I don't know who talks like that, but I'd like to harken back to an executive order we saw about 6 weeks ago that said immutable sexual characteristics, which, just was so far off base. I don't know how to pull it back. So, because clearly they're mutable. So we start off not making sperm or ova. We're not sexually mature. So, at least humans. So, before we go on, can I acknowledge the people in the comments
Let's
to YouTube?
acknowledge the people. Yes.
Yeah. So first, hi Morgan, hello. I also
One more.
see I also see Margie. And Margie, you had sent me a message that things were not going well, so I'm very happy to see you here. Hopefully that means your day got better.
Hello,
Um,
Margie.
Morgan's got a good question too. The question says, why do people feel they get to judge others and tell you there is only one way to live? That their viewpoint is the correct, in finger quotes, the correct one. Do you two have thoughts?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's their own comfort, and anything that gets what they would think is more complex, and it only makes it more complex because it wasn't the way they were brought up or the things that were the majority of what was seen either on television or on tabloids or and so when we're people are brought up a certain way it hurts their brain to think any other way and
Yeah.
so a lot of people have fears, a lot of it's fears, everything, almost everything is fear whenever people don't welcome or acknowledge or accept or don't love.
Yeah.
It's all the opposite. And so, what are they afraid of? I don't know. Maybe they're afraid of that. That's something that exists within themselves. And what would that mean then? And so, yeah, I think that it's. I mean, pretty. It's pretty complex on why somebody would feel the need to tell somebody who they need to be And almost always these type of people that say these things is because they don't know who they are.
Mm.
Because the truth is, when you have full acceptance of yourself and you really love who you are, that's called unconditional love. There's no room to be judging other people at that point. So if it's true unconditional love coming from the heart space, acceptance, then anything that comes at you will be accepted. And that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to have self-love and self-acceptance.
Yeah.
And plus, these people being brought up, and wherever they're brought up, I'm certain they've been told how to be and how to act, and it had nothing to do with their gender. Whether sit at the dinner table, right, or cross your legs, don't cross your legs, put the dinner napkin on your lap. All these things that tell us that we have to do to be a certain type of, have a certain etiquette, to be etiquette as a human being, stays ingrained within ourselves, within our systems, generation after generation. And if we don't do something that way, then it's wrong. So yeah, I mean, it goes on and on and on.
There's a lot of anger in that comment. The
You know
comment
what's
that
funny? Just to comment on a little bit what you said, Lino, that if it's coming from a place of unconditional love, there's no room for that kind of vitriol. And they were framing their comments as though they were coming from that place. Like, oh, I don't want you to be a victim of the patriarchy. Their first words in their very first comments was, "You're a freak." And I'm like, that's an interesting way to communicate that.
uh-huh. I love you, you freak.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
It's
that's
angry.
interesting. Yeah, that is angry.
Your misogyny
Yeah.
is screaming and it's sad. I'm
Yeah,
sad for you.
yeah.
So,
No, I'm there. There.
misogyny mean in this context? Because misogyny is hatred of women, of the feminine, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. I your
But how does that relate?
your
I'm
guess
not
is
sure
as good as mine,
the
yeah.
individual really knows how to express himself clearly, other than that they're uncomfortable with what's going on and they're trying to
Hmm.
dismantle their own feelings into words, and it's not clear for us because of that. They're just uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also, that's a very common thing that is said amongst, what would be considered the turf kind of group. And I'm realizing I've got to clarify. Trans exclusionary radical feminist is what TERF stands for. And this person that was commenting, I know, follows J.K. Rowling quite heavily. And in one of their comments, they actually said, "Oh, you should listen to real women's, ideas around this. Go listen to J.K. Rowling and what she has to say." And I'm like, I know what she has to say, but um, yeah, that is something that J.K. Rowling says a lot. That the existence of trans femme people is misogyny somehow.
I
But
believe
I still have not figured out how.
I I
I,
don't know that
I don't
I'm
know.
great at that I'm great at understanding this. The way that I understand this is that what you and I do, Jasmine, is
Mm,
appropriate, like literally this is not cultural, but gender appropriation, and that displays a hatred toward women by appropriating whatever cultural challenges they face. That you and I have different cultural challenges to face, and as a result, we can't understand the same ones that women do. I mean, the quick answer there, of course, is, oh, believe me, baby. Now, not only do I have the women's cultural challenges, but the turf cultural challenges as well. So, yeah, I'm actually a little worse off than you, J.K. Rowling. Not to mention, I'm not a billionaire. Just to throw that out there.
it's really, I think it really just does come back to that lack of certainty,
Mm-hmm.
because certainty being one of our human needs, if that is challenged, it does create a sense of fear, and it creates this defensiveness that we have to like fight back and go, no, 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 this is my worldview. This is how things are. And I've got to push that on you so that I feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
When anything challenges it, I feel like it really comes back to that, because even the whole argument around, you'll never understand these, yada, yada. I'm not going to understand a lot of cis women's experiences. And cis women aren't going to understand a lot of trans women's experiences either.
Right.
Like that's, and so people will often say, "Oh, you don't even know who you are or what you are," and blah blah blah. And it's almost as though they think I'm saying I am a cis woman. I was born with a uterus and I created the large gamete and blah blah blah. And they're arguing against that. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I was born with a penis and testicles. I was born with presumably XY chromosomes. My gender identity is that of a woman because socially that is how I am perceived and that is how I feel most comfortable and blah, blah, blah. Like, I know that I'm transgender. Like, never said otherwise. But even if you say that, they will still argue and go, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, at the end of the day, it seems like you just don't want trans people to exist.
Right. I mean, because...
Yep. Because what's the end result of how you're feeling?
Right. I mean, and if I had a moment alone with J.K. Rowling, maybe not alone, because actually a moment alone might not go really well, but moment where, we could be chaperoned in some way so that nobody ends up getting, a punch in the bracket. If I had a moment alone, I think I would ask her, well, do you understand all cisgender women's challenges? As a billionaire, do you understand poor women's challenges? As a British woman, do you understand what it means to be an Australian woman? Do you understand what it means to be an American woman? There's like a Lenny Kravitz song in there somewhere too, but
American woman.
There you go. It's ridiculous even to say that there is a single cisgender experience that in some way we miss, or Lino misses a cisgender, man experience. There's 8 billion people on the planet just right now, and all of our experiences are different. It's interesting how they want to categorize us out of some category they don't even really fit into. Because these categories don't really truly exist. So there's the
Maybe
anchor.
that's what it's about. The fact that they don't have their own little box. They want to belong somehow, have their own little niche, but
right. No. I mean, it's hilarious to me to hear J.K. Rowling say things like, "Oh my gosh, all the hardship I go through. In your private castle in like a private county in England? Oh yes. My heart's really bleeding for you right now, babe. It's got to be painful with all that money."
I do want to just call that out for a second there.
All right.
Because we're not going to understand the issues and stuff that come along with that either.
I almost said that.
Totally.
Well, yeah.
But hang on a minute.
I really jump on people with that because I'm like, it can lead to, the demonization of billionaires. Do I believe billionaires should exist? No, I think we should have taxation systems that mean that wealth is distributed in a way that benefits society, whatever. But I also do not understand the struggle of having to spend $250 million a year on personal security because people want to shoot me in the head for existing with that amount of wealth. I also don't understand having a board of people that make decisions on such a large scale that have such a massive impact that I don't have full responsibility for, but I'm the figurehead of it. Therefore, I'm the one that is attacked for whatever happens under that company of often thousands and thousands of people. It's like, it all comes back to that we don't fully understand other people's experiences.
Right.
Where they come from. J.K. Rowling might have some horrible experiences that I've got no freaking awareness of. But when she talks about experiences that women have in general and tries to exclude trans women. I got out of my car the other day going to a um, public speaking group that I've been facilitating recently, which we had our last night. It was very fun. There was cake. It was good. But anyway, I got out of my car and a guy was walking past and went, "Oh, how are you doing, sweetheart?" I'm like, being really weird. And I'm immediately like looking around. I'm like getting my bags quicker and moving faster. And I'm like, that is a very femme experience to have.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know any freaking man who has had a guy come up to them in the car park and go, "How are you doing, sweetheart?"
Okay,
And it's a
I
dangerous
did.
situation.
I did. Because I
You
looked.
did? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
well,
there you go.
So I was in Georgia, and my hair was waist length. They read me as a woman. All right, so let's just say that they read me
Okay.
as a woman, but at the time I was presenting as a man, with the exception of waist length dyed black hair. But yeah, I have had people from behind go, "Hey, baby," or except in Georgia, like accents, or dang old seen them baby, dang old thing," yeah, something like that, right? And I'm like, "Oh, hi, I'm male," and they're like, "Oh, fuck." In fact, actually, I had frat boys drive by me once, and one of them whistled, and I went, "Hey, I'm male." And the guy leaned out the window and said, "Oh, well, you must be, excuse me for my slur here." He says, "You must be a fag." And I went, "Yeah, because I whistled at you, you jerk off," or something like that. I don't even know what it was. Truck stopped because you knew it was a truck, right? Like you knew very well it was going to be a pickup truck. Screeches on the brakes, and the doors fly open, and I ran. I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I'm not doing this." So I ran, but yeah, that's so I did have that happen, but but they read
But
me
if
as a
they
woman.
read you as femme,
Yes,
yeah,
it's a good point. It's
like
a good point.
that's the thing. People who are mask presenting, who are read as mask, don't typically have those
No,
experiences.
no.
And
No, no,
no
so
one ever goes, let me just get a chromosome test for you and let's just have a look. What genitalia do you have? Oh, okay.
Right.
Now I'm going to harass you. Like, that's not how it works.
well, I think though that harassment. I mean, I'm certain that this type of harassment happens with anybody, however anyone identifies. I mean, my
Yeah.
roommate, who is a man,
Yeah.
100% cis man, has an experience where this is maybe about 10 years ago, went to go get gas, and my roommate's a handsome man, and I guess a gay man approached him, was waiting for him to get gas, was watching him, and then approached him, and he got offended. He's like, "Hey man, I'm not gay. Like, what even made you like?" "Nah, dude." My roommate felt. He said he felt ill. I'm like, well, that's what it feels like. It feels like ill. So I
Yeah.
mean, heterosexual men, it happens to them too. I mean, it happens. It happens to a lot of people. It's just it's a unwelcomed, and it. I think that just in general, people are going to go through experiences like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
More so, obviously, if you're female or transgender or whatever. I mean, if we're more of a target, then it's going to happen more often. But these experiences happen to anybody.
Right.
Well, can I
Right.
just ask Lino, because you have personally said that pre-transition you were quite attractive as like a woman, right? But at that point, and then having transitioned from then, have you noticed any difference in how people treat you, like harassment wise or anything like that?
No, I don't get harassed at all. Actually, I haven't really experienced harassment as a man. Um,
And pre-transition?
Pre-transition all the time by men. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Just
I
a
think
quick.
that's the thing. It's like it's the frequency of it.
Mm,
Everyone has those
Right.
experiences,
Exactly. Everyone
but
has
the
that experience.
frequency.
Depending on how you identify, yes, there's going to be a
Yeah.
frequency of it. It's going to be more in your face, and then there's going to be more of a feeling like you're under attack more
Mm,
yeah.
often.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of women are defensive. Even to this day, is now that I'm male identified, and I realize I can't be nice to women because they give me attitude. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know why. So bad I want to be like, don't worry, I'm a good guy. I know what it's like. You're safe. I'm just saying good morning, have a good day. I'm
Right.
not I'm
Right.
not saying good morning, have a good day. Can I have your number? It's like
yeah.
So, but I know now why women do give attitude. When we're in an elevator, I'm like, hey, nice day, and they're just like, I didn't hear you, see you. I don't care to look at you, and I'm like, all right, well, I know where that comes from, so
Yep.
fine.
Yeah. At least you
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah, I
mean,
do know.
you know.
Yeah,
And I'd say the vast majority of cis guys really don't understand where that comes from at all. Because I even got that comment the other day with that, where I'm like, oh, yeah, good, thanks. And I'm like, maybe I did give a little bit of attitude. I don't know. But he's like, oh, it's just a question as he's walking off. I'm like,
but
yeah,
what's
okay.
interesting is usually if they have an attitude like that, that is because they had an ulterior motive.
Ooh, that's
Mm,
probably true. Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no reason to be like that.
Right.
If you're really coming from the heart
yeah.
space, you're gonna leave with the heart space. You're not
Right.
gonna leave with a
Right.
negative tail at the end.
Because if you'd spun around, Jasmine, this is a guess, but I bet you if you'd spun around and gone, why don't you take those trousers off and let's see what happens? He wouldn't have gone, it's just a question. He would have been like, fuck yeah, are you serious? Hang on. This is my belt's a little tight. Excuse me. Hang on. Do you have a knife or something? How do I open this? Just he would not
Well,
have been offended.
that scenario. I've replayed that scenario in my head a few times. I'm like, there are some ways I could really mess with that person. Like,
I and to a
would turn
certain
around and be like,
Oh yeah, not bad sugar cakes. How about
right.
you?
Or even better, you go, I'll tell you what, why don't I put down my trousers and then let's see what happens? Lift your skirt. I don't know what you were wearing, but, even better, right? See what happens.
or go like really over the top or like it or insane in some ways. I could turn around and look shocked. He's like, it's just a question. I'm like, you can see me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
from
Pretend I'm a ghost or something. Oh my gosh.
from now on, however, I would like to be referred to as sugar cakes on the show, if that's okay. Like to be
We've got Dr. Amethyst Sugar Cakes with us. Oh my
beautiful,
gosh.
beautiful.
But let's have a look at these comments. I
Yeah,
feel like
let's look
we've
at the
gotten way
comments.
off track now.
Because Morgan had another question, and this actually plays into it. I was going to bring this up 5 minutes ago, and I don't know, sugar cakes was too good to pass up. Because Morgan says, when does it go beyond free speech? So you had a woman who was telling you, Jasmine, this is who you are, but now we're also talking about actual like harassment. Is that
Mm.
free speech? Should that be protected? I mean, when does it end?
You know, I think people view free speech, if their version of reality is true and correct, then they're just stating the facts. It's not free speech. Like, it's a fact that you are stupid and wearing woman face and that you're delusional. I'm like, that's a fact. I'm like, interesting. And they'll defend that saying they're just using free speech. It's just facts. I'm like, it's a fact that you have no fucking idea what you're talking about and you're projecting your nonsense onto me. But if we just meet on that level, it's just stupid. What's the point?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I think that does go beyond free speech and it turns into harassment and just, it doesn't matter what you think is true or not, it's still harassing someone.
It is. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
well, what do you want to do with that information that you just told me? You know,
Right.
I'll stick it to your ass, and then what do you want me to do with it after that?
Yeah.
Mm,
Then what? Keep that spiral going, and then what?
Right. Right.
yeah.
Be-
Does that take you?
because assault and harassment are not protected under any laws of free speech because those are crimes, assault and
Mm,
harassment. So even if you were to say, well, I'm just using free speech, actually you aren't. You're being either harassing or abusive or assaulting somebody verbally. That's not protected. That's why we have
yeah.
these laws. So,
Yeah.
so people can't do
A lot
that.
of people, a lot of people also don't know what an assault is or harassment is. Like, they're just
True.
so
Mm,
check it out. If it's that easy for them to be attacking us or other people in that manner, imagine how how often their boundaries were crossed growing up. It's something that they're
Right. Yeah.
so if they learn the facts of what harassment and assault is, and that it's punishable and that it's illegal, like perhaps they would take a few steps back and look at their actions. But a lot of the times, this
Maybe.
is how they were brought up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
just threw my pen across the desk.
Oops.
I was excited to jump in on that because people will say, well, like I say, it's not
Yeah, I can't say what you
harassment.
just said right now, or that would be harassment.
Hmm? Oh,
So even the things
yeah.
that we say, I'm excited to jump into that. As a man, I really can't use that talking to a woman.
It's a good point.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, because even in the words that with things that we say, even our semantics have like
yeah.
hidden even be taken the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and if you wanted to say, I mean, it's I mean I had to throw that out there just for you to take a look at some of the things that you're
I
saying.
like it.
Someone else could take it the wrong way too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't sugar cakes, just so you know.
Wait, what?
I didn't take it the wrong way, sugar cakes. That's all.
Oh, thank you, sweet pea. Oh my
We're
goodness.
both going to get thrown off the show ultimately, I think. But
Apparently TikTok is already throwing us off, right?
right, I don't know what we did wrong on TikTok, but let me look at a couple more comments. Let's address a couple of these. So first of all, Margie does say things are maybe pulling together. It's too early to say. Just as a quick aside, there, Margie had sent me some bad news. So I'm glad, even if anything, even if it seems like a maybe, I'm glad to hear it. I also want to acknowledge. I know American Woman was by the Guess Who. The first one that came into my mind was Lenny Kravitz, and did a cover of it, but yes, I know as the Guess Who. Morgan also brings up, I thought this was a good point. She thinks it's really neat when we can take one of these people who are putting us down or telling us how to live, and then we respond with kindness. And so she says she's seen all three of us do this. She says she knows it must be tiring, but do we think blocking versus responding with kindness is worth it?
I think you could do both.
That's a good point. Do you think
So,
you could have converted this person, Jasmine? I'm sorry, Lino.
not at all. It's a good question.
Mm. This particular person, very, very indoctrinated. I think it would take more than a few comments.
Oh yeah.
It would take a conversation like face to face for hours.
Yeah.
And that's not like, I blocked them after that comment because I was just coming out of my dance class and I was bloody exhausted. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was really fast dance movements. I open up my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, there's another bloody 20 comments, including that one. And I'm just like, I don't have the time for this. Like, I really don't. I'm about to get in the car and drive home. I'm going to, do my night routine, yada, yada. And I think that's how I responded with the last comment that they sent. Because seriously, the last comment they sent would have taken 10 minutes to read. It was that freaking long. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm not available for this energy right now. But blocking versus responding with kindness, I think what I did with the chat bot was interesting because it responded with kindness and it used references from how I've responded in the past. And I've given it reference points for, anti-trans disinformation, yada, yada.
Sure.
Like it responded really, really well. But it also gave that person a platform to spew more stuff out. So even though it was responding with kindness and all of that, it was consistently giving them more fuel to put more thought processes out there.
Yeah.
So it's a balance. For me, I think ultimate response would be something like this, where we take that response away and then we deconstruct it and talk about it like this, and we're not platforming that type of stuff. That's how I think we can use it in a positive way to change minds and to help people get a more, holistic understanding of it
Yeah.
without necessarily platforming it.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
thanks to them, we're able to do this episode and have some fun and laughs, and
Yeah.
and you're able to block their energy at the same time.
Mm.
So yeah, and I'm just piggyback off of Amethyst's question to you. I personally I can't. There's no definitive way to know if you change this individual, but coming from an energetic perspective, if they're on that frequency, most likely they're on that frequency and on that channel in all different areas of their life. So it's not going to just change that one little channel and then change every. I mean, most likely they're like that in a lot of different parts of it, sections of their life. So it is best to block someone like that. But going back to the kindness, block them with kindness. Why? And compassion. I can feel your pain. You don't have to tell them this, but in your mind, and you can transmit, because thoughts actually are received faster than the speed of speech. And so you can, through thought transmission and with your hand over your heart, say, I can feel through compassion. I feel your pain, whatever you're struggling with. I wish you love and kindness, and I'm going to block you, and just block it.
Yeah.
Is there a threshold level at which you go, okay, this is too much bad energy? Do you think, Lino?
Yeah, there's always a threshold. I mean, there's boundaries, and there's definitely a threshold. And if it's just too much and you don't feel like you want to wish them love or anything like that, then you can't just cut it off and let it go. But also check yourself after that. Are you spiraling? Are you thinking about it for the next 3 days? Are you waking up with it, going to sleep thinking about it? So almost always, if you are that upset about it for days and days and days, then that's an invitation or the opportunity for you to see why you're triggered so strongly, and perhaps that trigger needs some type of healing and some type of energy. So either way, if someone even triggers us like that, it's really a response coming to our attention to let us know that this needs more healing, or this part right here needs a little bit more attention, maybe a little bit more self-love here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you have an obvious threshold
Analogy out here.
Jasmine? Yeah.
The threshold depends on your capacity on the day. It depends on how you're feeling. Ultimately, you don't owe it to anyone to be someone's punching bag. Even if it's not coming from a place of, whatever, like it's coming from a misguided place and you want to be kind to them and all of that. It is not your duty to do that. You do not need to do that. If you choose to do that, honestly, like, I am super freaking proud of you, but be aware of the capacity that you have. If you're having a particularly bad day, no, don't put up with any of it. Block, delete, don't even read the comments. If you're feeling great and you feel like you're on a higher frequency and you're like, awesome, yeah, I can have these engagements and I'll go to sleep like a baby at the end of the night, then maybe do that if you feel like you have the ability to do that. But it depends day to day. The reason I was testing out the chatbot is because for me, it does depend. I still want to be able to respond with that kindness, but putting in that amount of time and energy to do that takes time and energy.
Sure.
So if I can just go, here's their response, copy paste, and there's a response that embodies what I would say to them without me having to do the thinking or reading through it, then that's pretty cool. That's something I've just been playing around with and seeing if I like that. But I want to throw an analogy out here as well. There's a difference between what I would call the salt and the chili. Salt is like someone's throwing their crap at you. They've got, they're throwing this salt at you, but it can't actually hurt you unless you have a wound. If you have a wound and you don't think you're lovable and somebody says, because you're trans, no one will ever love you, that's them throwing that salt at you. And if you've got that wound of I'm never going to be loved, it's going to freaking hurt because it's pressing on something that is there.
Yeah.
If you don't have that wound, you can just go, awesome. Yep. Thanks for that nice exfoliation. Oh, my skin's so much softer now. Move on with my day. I've used this analogy sometimes when I talk about, if someone just comments, oh, you're a man, to me, they might as well be saying, you're a pink elephant with silver wings and bloody purple horns. I'm like, great, cool. It doesn't make any difference to my life because it's just nonsense.
Yet oddly
Chili, on the other
specific.
hand,
Like, where have you gotten this? Okay.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a
Oh,
reference.
okay.
Um, that's not the exact reference, but Azula says something. Chili, on the other hand, is something that is harmful regardless. So salt may or may not harm you. It depends on if you've got a wound. Chili is going to irritate your skin regardless. If someone's rubbing chili into your skin, it's probably going to be uncomfortable. That to me is the difference between understanding when something is just harming you because you have a wound versus when something is inappropriate behavior that you shouldn't put up with.
Yeah.
The difficult part is a lot of these types of comments toe the line. They are chili and salt at the same time,
Right.
and you've got to know your threshold on how much you can handle before you need to put that boundary up. For me, online, I have a very high tolerance for the chili. I've got a nice spice tolerance. It's great. In person, if that were to be the case, my tolerance would be extremely low. I'd like, absolutely not. If you're getting up in my face with transphobic comments, security, out.
Yeah.
No. So it depends on the proximity as well. Like, how much does this have the ability to affect you? And like what Lino said, if you're thinking about it for 3 days and you're struggling to go to sleep at night over it, then your tolerance for that is lower and you need to be aware of that and put in appropriate boundaries for that.
Yeah.
And also look at where it may be salt, where it may be affecting you because it could be an opportunity for you to heal.
Yeah.
And it could also be chili that you need to put a boundary up and not accept.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I love the analogy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I handle things in a slightly different way. Anybody who leaves a comment, I just block.
Mm.
I don't.
You mean
I don't. Yes, I don't. It makes it very difficult for me to get subscribers, but if you're gonna leave a comment, you're out. I don't even care what you commented. No, I'm joking. It was supposed to be funny. It was.
Oh,
It's a
Wait, what?
crap
I was like, what?
crap joke. That's all.
Oh, jeez.
No, it is. But Jasmine makes a good point. Like, at what point do what point do you say that this is on me and this is on them? Because I've had some people who came at me really abrasive, just very abrasive. And I mean, I think, Jasmine, you were telling me about this too, that you were just like, or maybe Lino, you did, that it was like, wow, are you having a bad day? And the person went, okay, you caught me. Yeah, I also kicked my puppy too. And I'm sorry. That was overboard. So I don't know. I think there's for some reason I look for more intent. If somebody's just going, yeah, you're a man and you're also an ugly man, then I go, all right, well, that's probably gone a little bit too far. But if it seems weak, I don't know. Maybe I'd try a little harder. But
What do you mean? What is weak?
so, like, let me pull this one up. The one that you just got says your misogyny is screaming and it's sad. I'm sad for you, yada yada. You should learn to love yourself, like clearly I'm not doing. Like, I go,
All right.
I paraphrased. Well, but isn't that great? You should learn to love yourself. Because if you don't, this hate that I'm throwing at you, you're gonna feel it. Hope that doesn't bug you. And I'm like, what are you doing, lady? Give better comments. If it's something like that, because that's very clearly on that lady. She's sad. She's calling you out for things that she's probably feeling. When I have people who say, purple hair is stupid, it's not even really a comment, Those are people that that I will actually kind of engage with. And actually here's an example. Here's a better example. Because I'm sure you get this all the time too, Jasmine. Comment that just says, "What is a woman?" Like,
You
that's
know
a
what?
good one.
Surprisingly not.
Oh, really? Oh, for some reason I get
Yeah.
that a lot. And
What did you
so
say, Jasmine?
I surprisingly don't get that comment.
What is
it's
a woman?
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I get that a lot. What is a woman? So I've taken just to saying I am, and then usually put, purple hearts with a transgender flag in the middle, and almost nobody responds. But I think of that as somewhat of an invitation, because I think they're trying to trap me. What is a woman? If they, maybe they're going to expect me to try to, throw a bunch of references and a happy crappy kind of response, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll tell you what I believe. I am. And I think that I expect people anyway to respond. They don't. Maybe because they still think purple hair is stupid. I don't know.
You know what I'm
But
thinking right now? Saying this, sorry to interrupt you. Something
no,
that
not
came
at
to
all.
mind. I remember when I first started my transition, and I guess I would out myself a little more because of my insecurities, because I got looked at a lot. It was
Yeah.
before top surgery or whatever, so it was like, I still had feminine features and stuff, and so if I would out myself, be like, yeah, I'm going through a transition, and then somebody, I mean, some comments that I would get is oh man, it had something to do with what you just said. I just lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Forget about it. Oh damn. Forget it. Never mind. It'll come
Let us
back.
know if you catch it. If you find the ticket, jump straight in.
I
Yeah.
will. Thank you.
Does it have to do with the I am comment? What is a man? I am.
No. It'll come back. It'll come
All right.
in. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Come out.
Um,
It'll.
because actually, I mean, we're looking at we've been on for 58 minutes at this point, so we could start wrapping it up. I do believe you wrote a poem though, Lino, as we were sitting here. Um, should we jump on that? You want to do that? Jump into that? How whatever it was you said.
Yeah. Can I jump into that?
Yeah, come jump
Oh
into
my
that.
gosh, yeah, that sounds gross, doesn't it? My
Awesome.
misogyny is showing.
I know
It's
it sure is. Oh,
screaming
dang.
is what. Yeah,
It's big.
I'm
Oh,
sad for you.
darn. Here it
Thank
goes.
you, sugar cakes.
Thanks, sweethearts. Sweet peas. Okay. It's about the energy that I want to express. Past the synergy, in between complexity, out of bounds with perplexity, and interwoven within the dynamic of an infinite spectrum of expression. This expression is freedom. The freedom to breathe how I want to, speak like I want to, walk like I want to, and dance how I feel it. It's a dance I take with myself. It's an integration that's taken generations to be able to set the bar and to let go of barbed wires. Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, that last line. Dang.
I feel like we need to have a compilation of all the poems, like Harmony and Humanity poems, and just like
Oh,
have a
I know.
page
That'd be
for all of
great. I
them.
got to go back and look through all of them.
That'd be cool.
Do you keep those all in
Yeah.
one place out of curiosity? Do you have like a
Not
book?
always, but I mean, for the most part, some of them are in this little binder, but I do
Yeah.
kind of get random pieces of paper and just write. So
Mm,
I would have to find them, but I'm sure I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah. I'm curious. You've got to be able to have enough for a big compilation at this point.
I know, right? I probably do, yeah.
How many poems do you think you've written?
In my life. Oh,
Yeah.
thousands. Thousands. I started
Thousands.
writing when I was about 5 years old. And I know that it's channeled because I was 5 writing words and knowing how to spell perfectly and not even knowing what the hell that word meant.
Wow.
And I remember being like 10 or 11 and looking back at myself like, what does that mean? Looking at a dictionary, I was like, how did I know this? So I know that it's, channeled from either past lives or collectively from the lives that I've lived before. And most likely I've been a poet many lives. So check it out. I'll tell you an interesting fun fact. So Edgar Allan Poe's birthday is January 19th, 1809. and my birthday is January 19th, 1980. The exact number,
Oh,
the last four are reverse.
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm Edgar Allan Poe reincarnated, but you never know. Why are there some synchronicities and some alignment? Maybe there's a piece of an energy that I've adopted when I incarnated into this life. I don't know, but it's interesting and fascinating.
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Because all I share a birthday with is Bruce Willis.
I love Bruce Willis.
I mean, Bruce Willis is fun, but I mean, like, would I rather be able to write good poetry or, say yippee-ki-yay? I would go with the poetry.
Hey, at least you'll get to Die Hard.
Yeah. I don't know. End up,
Or not. Or not.
right. In my case, probably not. So,
Oh, shit.
what are you thinking, Jasmine?
Oh, I'm Googling celebrities born on April 1st because I've got no idea.
Got it. At first, Lino, I thought you was Googling Bruce Willis. She was like,
No.
I don't know, I'm a fucking millennial. Who's Bruce Willis? Let me.
Oh, Logan Paul. No.
Wait, who?
Logan Paul.
Who's that?
I don't know who that is.
Isn't he the person who just did the boxing match with Mike Tyson? I thought that was him.
Oh, I didn't watch it. I heard about it, but I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that was Logan Paul.
Okay.
I don't know. I get them mixed up though because there's a couple of Paul brothers. But
So nobody
otherwise,
else?
Susan Boyle. Susan Boyle?
I mean,
That's the only two names that I recognize on this
Okay.
list.
Okay. Well, throw some other ones out. Who are people you don't know?
Sam Huntington.
Oh my gosh, Sam Hunt. Whoa, really? Sam. Do you know Sam Huntington, Lino? I have no.
don't know.
Okay. How about one more?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Annette O'Toole.
Annette O'Toole was an actress, either
Oh,
married
okay.
to or sister to Peter O'Toole.
Debbie Reynolds. That actually does ring a bell a
Yes.
little bit.
Debbie Reynolds played. Debbie Reynolds was in many movies. She was also Tammy and the Bachelor is the big one. Tammy and the Bachelor, where she sings a song called
I see.
"Tammy's in Love." Debbie Reynolds is a good one, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
run
I'll
with
take
it.
your word for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we should probably end up there.
Probably.
Unless, have you caught the train, Lino?
No, you know what? I figured if it didn't come out, it wasn't meant to be said. So
Fair enough.
it's not coming out. Thank you, though, for the opportunity.
Beautiful. Oh, wait. Zoe looked it up. Robert Irwin. Is he April Fool's as well? I like that much better.
Who
And that's
is?
next week, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The Crocodile Hunter's son.
Oh, is that
Steve
who it
Irwin's
is?
son.
All right.
Oh, that's Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin's son.
Oh. Yep.
Does it get? What does he do anything? Because like Steve Irwin was fun, but if it's just like, well, it's
I think his son is Steve Irwin reincarnated.
okay,
Pretty
all
much.
right. I wasn't sure if this was going to be like John
He
Stamos'
looks
brother.
exactly like him and acts exactly like him. His energy just got transferred onto his son.
Wacky.
Pretty much, yeah.
I thought his daughter was going to do
Yeah.
something. What? Bindu? Bina? What's her name?
Benji Irwin. She doesn't really stay
Bindi?
in the public eye that much, actually. She's pretty private compared to Robert.
Oh, okay. And it says it's actually for Zoe's birthday. Sorry.
Oh, that's for Zoe's birthday. Oh, okay. That's all right. That's a good one, Zoe.
Yeah. And hopefully,
Okay.
Zoe, hopefully you're not saying Andrew Tate. Because, yeah, sorry.
Oh, jeez.
So we won't be recording next week, correct? Because it's Jasmine's birthday, correct?
Right.
Yes, it will be my birthday.
Taking the week off so that Jasmine can go celebrate holiday celebration.
Well, you know what? I'm not celebrating. I'm actually going to drive into the city and facilitate a panel. So that's what I'm doing on my birthday.
You have to
Just so
make sure you
happens.
celebrate after the panel. I mean, come on, it's your birthday. People celebrate
Yes,
Jesus'
yes.
birthday every year, and he's been dead how long? This is your birthday. You're alive. Celebrate you.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good point.
Yeah, celebrate you.
I might be able to stream next week. I'm just trying to think because I think the panel doesn't start until like 3 p.m., but I've got a decent drive before then. So
Okay.
I might be able to come for 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario, we just Lino and I close it down or something. Who knows? But
Yeah.
See how it
Or you
goes.
two run the stream for that. Because there's going to be 3 of these panels that I'm facilitating. One on the 1st, one on, I think, the 20th of June. Yeah, there's 3 separate dates. I'll send them to you, but
okay,
it might just be that you two on those dates.
that's fine. Last
Thank
week
you, thank you, Margie. Happy panel facilitation to you.
yeah. Last week for my birthday, I got my nose pierced. I got my other nostril pierced. Yeah. So.
And yeah, happy birthday, Amethysta. We haven't streamed
thank you.
since it's been your
Happy
birthday.
birthday, I'm like,
Oh, I thought
Happy
we said
birthday.
something last week. Well, thank you. Thanks. Because
Well, I don't think we did it on the stream.
maybe not. Because what I did on my birthday was drive to Minnesota with Morgan. So really, we drove to
Yeah.
South Dakota. We only drove halfway to Minnesota. So, but
I see.
yeah.
I want to see some photos from that, by the way.
Okay, I got a
Some-
few.
Some selfies.
Yeah, I got some hilarious.
Anyway,
pics,
we
so-
are
yeah, shut it
totally
down.
off topic.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say, obviously, we can just chat and chat and chat. We do that all the time. But you know what? We'll save this for after the stream. Unless y'all enjoy it, let me know because we could just have like a post-stream chat because we always do that anyway. But we will end the stream here for now. If you have requests for future topics, let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know your ideas for topics because we would love to have it be guided by you a little bit more and also to be able to shout you out for the idea as well. So thank you for joining in on the conversation. As always, we think you're pretty cool for wanting to focus on our shared humanity. We are sending you lots and lots of love, and we may or may not see you next week. We'll see. I may or may not. Sending you all the love. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a blessed week. Love you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Good night. Bye.